Okay, okay. It's good to be able to see you guys. Let me just fix the camera well. Okay, so good morning and good afternoon, all of you listening to me. So I'm hoping you had a fantastic week and that you're ready for another very good and exciting session, right? So I'm pleased to have you here. So I think we're gonna talk about something I'm sure is gonna interest lots of you today. So the question we're gonna ask ourselves today is, I have a business and I decide to go solar. But the main question usually people find that will ask is, how do I do to fund this project, right? That's a recurring question people have. How do I fund this project? So this is why I wanted us to have these quick sessions to talk about that. By the way, I'm Tony Tiu, founder and CEO of Renewable in Africa, Your Africa Clean Energy Champion, right? And then we're talking about today about how the business deciding to go solar. So what are the options available for them in order to do funding, right? Okay, that's excellent. So talking about that first, right? So why would you want to know that? The simple reason is, if you don't understand what are the options available for you to tap into in order to fund your project, most likely you're not going to go ahead. Your project is not going to get funded, isn't it? So it's important for you to have this knowledge and this understanding. And also because you have that, you're able to look at the options, assess that with whoever is part of your team in order for you to make an informed decision. Because if you can't make that informed decision, chances are, as I say, either the project will not going to go ahead, or you're also going to make the wrong decision, and that's going to be quite painful for you later on. We clearly don't want you to go through that. And this is a question that I have time and time again. I can tell you, even up until today, people are asking me on a regular basis this question. This is a question I've experienced myself, because as I say, when you're an entrepreneur, the question of funding, it's a fundamental question. So you have to wrestle with that either for yourself as a business or for people you are working with first, because, for us renewables in Africa, what is that we do? So beside being a media platform and then sharing lots of information to raise awareness about renewables energy in the continent, we are also an engineering company. And what do? We actually work with businesses, bringing them clean energy solutions for them to go green, to go solar most of the time. And these people we are talking to, usually they want to understand how are they going to be able to fund the project, right? So this is why we are able to talk about that today, right? And then I'm pleased to have you here. I can see some people already are listening. Thank you for that. By the way, if you have any question, make sure that you send that to me on the comment box. And what I do, once I finished with my little expose, so I'm just going to respond to questions, because when we're having regular conversation like that, it's also for me a chance to get information from you, get your question and respond to it, right? That's what it's all about. Because I know a lot of people always say, hey, Tony, I have this question, I have that question. As you know, most of the time, as a business, we will do that, but for people we're working with, our customer, our clients. But from time to time, I'm happy to engage and just provide answer for you like that, kind of a free session, put it that way. So now, let's dive into the matter. So business wanted to go solar, right? So that's a great thing, right? That's a great thing already to do. Now, the question always becomes, what are the different options that the business has available to be able to fund this project? Well, what I can tell you is I can think of three options, essentially two, but one is divided into three, right? So you have the first option is, as a business, you may want to fund it yourself. This is what we call corporate financing, right? Or you also want to go to the project financing, which is the second method. So those are the two methods. But let me now dive into that a little bit more to explain to you what I'm talking about here, right? So when you're a business, if you decide to fund it yourself, right, as corporate finance, it means that as a business, you are the one building the solar farm. All you're going to do is have some contractors that who are going to come and build it for yourself. Now, when you want to go ahead and build such a solar project, right? So it's important for you to understand what is the difference between the two. First of all, when I'm talking about the corporate finance, right? Let me just give you a couple of the key features. Corporate finance, it means that for you to be able to fund this project, you clearly want to have the approval of your board or your shareholders, right, to whom you're going to be exposing the project. Anyway, whatever you're going to have to do, you're going to expose that to the shareholder for sure. But more so for the corporate finance, because the board needs to approve it, okay? And obviously the board needs to be able to ask you a number of questions for you to respond to that, for them to say, okay, yes, we're going to go ahead. And the reason you want to make sure that they approve it is because these finance options is going to be visible on the balance sheet of the company, right? I'm sure you guys know about the balance sheet, right? So the difference between liability, asset, and equity, right? So that means that when we look at that, it's going to be there on the balance sheet. And anything that goes into the balance sheet, shareholder want to know about it. Why? Simply because they have invested in the company and they want to make sure that, right, they understand what is happening. Is the company making sound investment decisions? It's very important, right? So you can already imagine the potential challenges that could be there, right? That is that are present. So the good thing though, if you're going through the corporate financing route, is that you possibly can implement the project faster, as long as you know exactly what you want to do. You want to build that solar plant, but you also have your shareholder backing you. So that means now the execution could be faster in terms of making the cash available, right? So that means if you're going to the shareholder, most likely you're part of the management team. You could be the CEO of the company. Oh, by the way, when I'm talking about shareholder could be you and somebody else, right? Don't necessarily look at a big board. It could be like just 2 or 3 shareholders. It depends what your company is, right? So as soon as they give you the go ahead, then you can implement the project faster, right? And also the cost to mobilize such finance, because it's all internally, and these are costs that you understand and you can you can mitigate, you can minimize. So it could be relatively a cheaper cost for you to make that into action. The trouble though is that because it's on the balance sheet, right, it means that the money that you have spent to develop this project, right, you could have used that to acquire another asset. You could have used that for another project. So that means that's already part of your cash flow. Most likely that will be tied into this project. And that's where one of the big issues is. And also the fact that it's on the balance sheet. It also means that in terms of responsibility, if something goes wrong into the project, you have full exposure, right? And this is actually probably the biggest risk. And but that's what corporate finance gives you. Now, when you talk about corporate finance, that I was saying to you that there are 2 ways it could happen. Yes, and let me explain that to you. So the first way is, as a company, we have enough free cash flow available, right, in the kitty. I can just tap into that, providing obviously I have the board approval. I can just tap into that, mobilize that money, and there you go. I can fund the project. But most likely, you also going to have, that's a second option, which is just to contract a loan from a bank or a lender, put it that way, who's going to lend you the money, right? So you can already see that if you go down this route, so it may not be as faster as you mobilizing the money by yourself. Because if you're going to the loan route, so you're going to have to meet a certain number of criteria. First of all, you need to make sure that you demonstrate to whoever is your lender that as a business, you are a credible business. Essentially, you are able to repay the loan. That's what it's all about. And you're going to have to provide as well some collaterals, because the bank are going to be saying, or the lender going to be saying, okay, I'm giving you X amount of money. Now, how can you demonstrate to me that you are able to repay that back to me? Right? So you know all about that. So clearly there's some cost involved into that, because there are some fees that you pay to whoever is going to lend you the money. So I'm hoping that this is also something that you know. And also, it depends as well what are the terms of the loan and what is the length of the loan, the duration of the loan. So is it a 5-year loan, a 10-year loan? It depends. But what we know in the if we know in the emerging market, especially in the continent of Africa, so it's for a solar project, it's still very challenging. Let's put it that way, to get a loan from a bank, unless you're a very, very big, strong company. But it's very challenging because, first of all, lenders in the continent are not still very familiar with solar project, or at least not through corporate financing. It's still very rare. The second thing is, it's difficult to have, a loan with a long duration. So we talk about 10, 15 years here, let alone 20. So it's quite difficult because most of the time, lending in Africa, when we're talking about long term, that's about 5 years or 5, 6 years, or let's say 7 years, no more than that most of the time, right? So that's what you call long term in the country of Africa. And emerging market, it could potentially be the same. Whereas, for example, in mature market, so in Europe and Americas, right, some part of Asia, obviously long term you'll be looking at a 20 plus year, right? And when you're going that way, it's slightly easier for you to have installment that are good for you, right? So you can see how the corporate financing, like I say, either you have your own money, your own free cash flow, or you have a loan that you contracted to a lender. You can see how challenging it could be. However, this is an option. That those are options as a business that you have available. If you're a smaller business, you can obviously tap into a private lender. Don't necessarily think about institutional lenders. They're not the only one. In fact, if you look carefully, you can find some private lenders that are happy, who are happy to lend you the money, right? So you want to be looking at that. Hopefully that makes sense for you. So you can start dropping your question there for me if you want in the comment box. I'll make sure that I will address that. So the third option, right? Because don't be surprised if I say third option. I talked about corporate financing, but I've divided it into two, which is essentially either your own money, your own free cash flow, or you're going to a loan, to a lender, right? So that's why I call those are two options, put it that way, right? It's one option divided into two. Now, if you go into the third option, it's by far the most common and the one that is preferred, I would say, across the world. It's what we call project financing. Yeah, it's a project financing whereby you have essentially a developer who is coming to build the assets, at your premises, where you have your facility, and that developer is going to be the one bearing the responsibility and the cost of the project, right? And he's going to be working with an investor, or it could be directly the investor. Okay, so what are the benefits for you? I think that's a significant benefit. The fact that that's what we call no recourse financing. So there is no warranty that is required from you, basically, to do that. Okay, everything is actually, as I say, is borne by the guy who is developing the project. It is not on your balance sheet, right? So, which is actually quite good. However, for you to be able to tap into that project financing option, the project has to be very, very strong. And the key thing here is essentially, as a business, your ability to pay back whatever is the arrangement that you have. Because when you go to the project financing, most of it rests on the potential revenue based on the credibility, the financial credibility of the off-taker. And you're going to repay that over time, over a 5, 10, 15-year period of time, or it could be even more, right? So the good thing is, essentially, in terms of capital costs, most of the time you won't have to put any upfront. Sometimes it could be you may have to do so if you want to reduce the monthly annuity that you be paying, but most of the time you don't have to pay anything upfront. all costs will be included and borne by the guy who is developing the asset, who actually own the asset, right? And it's not on your balance sheet. And like I said, opportunity cost is pretty much low, right? It allows you to improve your bottom line. How? Because such a solution, if it's a solar solution, will allow you to drop your energy cost, okay? Because you're going to be paying less for the energy that you're consuming, because part of it it's solar. Let's say 30%, 40% of that is solar, which can allow you to really significantly drop the amount of money that you pay monthly, and it's also going to give you stability. So that's how it's improving your bottom line, and also doesn't appear on your balance sheet because you don't own the asset. The person who owns the asset is the person who built it, right? All you have to pay is to pay a monthly fee, right? That could be either, that would be through a PPA arrangement. In some countries, right, PPA arrangements are not possible. So usually that arrangement, that configuration would be transformed into a lease agreement, right? But the way it works, it's the same. It's just like the legal structure is not the same. If hopefully I make sense. But at the end of the day, you as a customer, as I say, it's not on your balance sheet, right? You don't have to put any capital cost, and clearly you're improving your bottom line because obviously, like I say, you're paying less for electricity that you consume, and you're just enjoying the asset. You just want to make sure that you make yourself available. If your roof, if it's been used to install the solar because the rooftop system, you want to make sure that roof is available, right? And you also have to take contract that could be take or pay, right? So which means that whatever solar is produced, you have to consume it and you have to pay that, right? So those are the three options that I can tell you about as a business if you want to fund the project. So another option that could also be possible, it's which is a combination of many of those. It's when you come together, like multiple businesses setting up a cooperative to then build a solar plant that will serve a number of businesses, right? Sort of creating a very small mini grid system. It's also possible. I don't want to dive into that so that I don't make things more complicated or too complicated for you, right? But I just wanted to give you those quick options because I know a number of people have been asking me this question for business. If you're a business, so hopefully you were able to hear that. By the way, if not, if you came late, do not worry because this is recorded. By the way, it's going to be on our YouTube YouTube page, right? YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. Very, very important. Subscribe to that, like it, share it, so that whenever there is a new video, so you are able to find that quickly and to watch it, right? So that's the reason we are doing it on a regular basis. And the good thing for you guys, so we are working on small, short courses that we're going to be very quickly sharing with you for people who want to know more to some other aspects, so that they can make sure that they learn as much as possible. Those courses it won't be free, but they will be very affordable, guys. So when I say very affordable, less than $50. So I'm sure all of you can get that. So if you're getting very good content, I'm sure you wouldn't mind investing in getting that those information. So this is what we're going to be starting doing. So make sure that you follow us on a regular basis, on all the different platforms, different channels. We're doing our best to make sure that you guys can get the information you want for you to go green. I don't want people not to have an excuse not to go green, right? So we want to give you all the information for you to make informed decision, right? So let me share, for example, a couple of links. Yeah, that's what I'm sharing on a regular basis. That's just a link of a workshop. Some of you as well are interested in becoming a solar entrepreneur. So those are workshops that we put together. It runs every day, different sessions. You simply have to log in and go to the best session for you, and that's it. And obviously, if you want to go further, we have a masterclass that's available for you where you can jump into. And also another thing, right? So that's usually for people who want to invest into the continent and they're looking for project, right? So we also have a short course talking about how do you find effective project, or let's say bankable project in the continent, right? So I'm also going to put the link up there for people who are interested. You can go there; those are available. You can jump into that very quickly. Yeah, like I say, obviously there is investment to make, but as I say, those are top information we share with you. So this is it. I think I'm done with me just talking. So I'm happy to pick up any question that people will have. So if you can simply drop your question, I'd be happy to respond to that. Are there any questions, guys? If yes, please. So drop it there so that we can see. Yeah. So don't be shy because I'm here to provide you answers to your questions. Yeah. So I just want to see that. Is there any question? People watching? Or maybe have I been very clear? Yeah. So yeah. So funding, it's a big part. I think that reminds me that I was watching a program yesterday, and this guy was saying that one of the key thing of an entrepreneur, it's key quality is the ability to still raise funding, right? So because as an entrepreneur, you're raising funding all the time, a different time of your life, your business life, right? So, but you clearly always constantly need to be raising money, or you need to know how to do it, so that when you need it, you can tap into that. So, any questions? One thing I've also said: usually, the first person asking questions, get an hour of free sessions, yeah, where we can go through whatever you want me to go through with you, and then provide further advice. So hopefully that's a good enough incentive. Yeah. I'm just gonna wait a little bit, and then yeah, if not, we can also call it a day. But I was just gonna say, people joining, thank you for logging in today. Thank you for supporting. That's great. I'm hoping you've learned a lot. If there is one part, okay, there's Terry. Terry was saying, Impact Bridge Group specialize in project investment appraisal for renewables energy. Contact me for a meeting with our energy economists of. Okay, Terry. Well, like I say, so thank you for sending that message. Yeah, in fact, energy economists. Okay, that's fine. I think you can reach out to me. Yeah, I think thank you for saying that. I forgot to mention that. Oh, by the way, Terry. So because you're the first to ask the question, so feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can have that conversation, right? So on LinkedIn, you just go on Tony Tiu. You will see me, see my name. I think there's only one of me on LinkedIn, and you send me a message, so that would be good. Otherwise, you can also write to me at tony@renewables-in-africa.com, and then I will respond to that. So we also have a presence in various media platform, social media platform. So definitely Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse. So you send message. If I don't respond directly, one of my colleagues, in the team, will pick it up and will let me know, and we can arrange that. But that's fine, Terry. So I think we can have a conversation. So if you have a specific question, happy to respond to that. Otherwise, yeah. Is there any other questions? Otherwise, be happy to finish early today. I think last week, the last couple of weeks, I had loads of questions. This is also how I decide on what topic I'm going to address on the day. Because, okay, I forgot to say, the idea for us is to have this conversation on a weekly basis, every Sunday and maybe another day in the week. I have to say it all depends on my availability. And yeah, so my week can be very, very, very hectic at times. Yeah, so it all depends. So how available I am. But I'm keen to also have this conversation. What is the range of investment that developers are looking for? The range of investment developers are looking for, it depends, right? If we're talking about utility scale, CNI, or even smaller than that, okay, the sector where we are focusing on renewables in Africa, primarily these days. So since last year, it's the commercial industrial. So it means that we're talking about projects ranging from, I would say, 200-300 kilowatt all the way, 10 megawatts. That's what it is, right? And then if you, obviously, size does have an impact. So if you consider, for example, that you would have a kilowatt, let's say for a bracket between 800 to 1,000, that's usually where it falls into. It could be slightly lower than that, but $800 for one, $800 for to $1,000 for 1 kilowatt, right? So it gives you a range of what people are looking for. So if I go, for example, for 1,000, just to make calculation easy, right? So that means if as I say, 300 kilowatt all the way to 1 megawatt. So you're talking about 300,000 all the way to a million, to 10 million. Sorry. So that's the range, project fall into. I would say for us, in project that we are originating and developing, we definitely are within that bracket, and investors we are working with, so that's the bracket we're into. In the past, or from time to time, when you're working as an advisor for utility scale, because we still get involved in some utility scale project, otherwise although this is not our preference anymore. So it could be bigger, because utility scale, the smallest would be, let's say, 5 megawatt, because in emerging markets, it can go all the way to 100 megawatts, right? But those are hard work, right? So hopefully, Terry, that responds to your questions. Yeah. So as I said, we can develop that a little further. So in the conversation that we can have with you, just like I said, feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn, and then we can arrange it. Brilliant. By the way, thank you for your question. I appreciate that. It's always good. I prefer to have questions so that I can, because that's the whole point, right? It's the whole point for me to address that. So yeah. Okay. No. Thanks for that, Terry. Appreciate that. Is there any question, ladies, gentlemen, and otherwise? As I say, there's a number of things we are working on, a number of short courses as well we are working on for people that maybe are interested, depending where you're coming from. So what we looking to do, it's always to cover different areas, different topics that will satisfy either businesses, either investors, or either professionals, right? Because the whole idea of our YouTube channel, it's to like we say, is to demystify renewable energy. I know there is a lot of focus into solar. It's simply because for emerging markets, especially for Africa, it's clearly the dominant market, right? So that's why there's an emphasis there. However, I'll be more than happy other session to tap into other topics as well. And I'm sure if you'll be watching our videos, the rest of our videos in the channel, you will see there is a variety, including some interviews. And in the future, we're planning to have more and more interviews with people that are interesting through our podcast offering as well. Okay, so I don't think there is any more questions. So I'm just gonna have an early finish today, which is good. So we're still We've still done half an hour, 30 minutes. So yes, guys, thank you for logging today. You're connecting. I know it's a Sunday. Very busy with your family. I'm also busy with my family, so I'm just gonna go back to them now. But pleasure to be talking to you. So we're gonna catch up again next Sunday, if not during the week. Because as I say, it depends. Sometimes we can have 2 live, only 1 live, and other videos as well. Like I say, it's quite flexible. But definitely at least one day a week, which is on a Sunday, we like to have this catch up. So I thank you for your attendance, and like I'm usually saying, may the sun be with you. Okay, guys, thank you. Get better, which means thank you in my language. Bye-bye.